ECN 1015, good evening, and welcome to week 2 of this short 7-week semester. All right, so let's talk first about last week, the module 1. I'm happy to report that most of you have already engaged and downloaded or gained access to the book, gained access to the MindTap tool, and you're well on your way to succeeding in this class. I was very pleased with the content of the discussions this past week. Very engaging, very informative. You obviously did your work, and some of you have some experience in specific areas we may talk about. Some of you have some emotional experience or maybe feel very strongly about some of the topics we'll talk about, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. You can guess from my comments, though, what I'm trying to get you to do is make sure that you dig deep, that you look past the surface and look past your initial emotional or historic response to something and start to analyze the facts and the issues and the details surrounding the particular topic we may be talking about. So I encourage you to look at that and make sure that you do a little bit of research in your post. Use APA citations when you identify information from a source that's not yours. And there's an APA citation help module that I have in there to help show you how to do that both in text and as your references. Because this is an academic environment, all of your discussion, all your papers, those types of things should be the result of some research that you've done. The objective is at the end of this class that you've evolved. You're looking past what you already know. You've learned some new material. You've learned how to apply both new and old material to come up with a decision or an opinion on something that's based in your research. All right, so now we've covered that. Let's look on to week 2, module 2. And this week we're going to cover chapters 4 and 5. So we're going to look at the various forms of companies that we may encounter. That's a broad list. We're going to talk about things like corporations, S corporations, LLCs, sole proprietorship, those types of things, and we're going to define each one of them and talk about the pros and cons of each one and where you might use them. If you're looking to form your own company, you have to make these decisions, and they impact things like tax burden, survivability of the company, whether or not if you pass away, does the company still exist or does it just go up in smoke and it ceases to be. So they're all questions that you have to look at before you decide what you're going to do in the way of formulating a company. Now, in Chapter 5, we're going to look at small business and entrepreneurship. So you may see a lot of this. So we're also going to look at franchising. You do see a lot of this in the Southern Maryland area. When you think about a lot of the places you go that have a well-known name, those are typically franchise. There's a corporation that's behind it, but they'll franchise out specific locations. There's an example here when you look at the Wills Group. You may be familiar with them in La Plata. They own things like the Dash-Ins and the Eco Wash car washes in the area and Southern Maryland Oil. So those are all franchises that come out of that one corporation and provide service to the community. So this week, in addition to your usual MindTap exercises that you'll do, you'll have a couple of things that you have to look at. You have a current events paper. You also have your first discussion that's based on an ethical issue, and then you have your first unit test. So remember, when we talk about your ethical issue discussion, go back and look at it, analyze it. There's 3 questions that you have to answer, but write not just from an emotional perspective and the heart and what you already know. Do a little bit of research and back your position up with some type of research, because if you don't, it's really opinion if you don't have something that supports it. I look forward to seeing your work this week, and I look forward to engaging in the discussion with you, and I hope each of you has a great week. Thank you.